Welcome all, and in this lecture we will discuss Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. The subject is Pharmaceutical Jurisprudence, code is BP 505T. Okay, to understand the Medical Pregnancy Act, okay, there is the introduction part. Increasing population has posed a serious problem in India. So we know that the problem of population, okay, in India, and the government is putting in serious efforts in this direction. Okay, the concept of planning program have been launched in the country. So family planning program, various family planning program has been launched, and Indian government is very serious about this population issues. The concept of a small and a planned family is gaining popularity, and public awareness is increasing gradually. So the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 and Rules 1975 and Regulation 1975 provide for a termination of certain pregnancies by registered medical practitioner. So this law is giving you the guidelines regarding when you want to terminate a pregnancy or abort the pregnancy, what are the guidance you have to follow. Okay, there are some guidelines you have to follow, then only a registered medical practitioner will, only in that condition is fulfilled, then only he will able to do the abortion work or termination of pregnancy. Otherwise we know the gender issues, okay, gender issues के लिए अलग से लॉ है और वो लॉ भी अप्लीकेबल नहीं है, ठीक है, कि जेंडर की वजह से आप किसी की अबॉर्शन करा सकते हो. सो मेडिकल जो हमारी टीम है या रजिस्टर्ड मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर्स है, व्हाट आर दोज लॉज विच दे हैव टू अबाइड while doing the termination of any pregnancy. Okay, so the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, this act is to provide for termination of certain pregnancies. Who will do this? By registered medical practitioner for matter connected therewith or incidental thereto. Okay, so be it enacted by the Parliament in 22nd year of Republic law of the Republic of India as follows. This act may be called the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. The name is the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. It extends to the whole of India except to the state of Jammu Kashmir. Okay, now it is union territory, but it is still has to be work has to be done, but till now it is not applicable in state of Jammu Kashmir. It shall come into force of such date as central government may by notification in the official gazette appoint. Okay, so it is forced, whatever the amendment is done on the website, and that is the official site from where the information can be gathered. So in three categories we will divide Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. The number one category we will see point by point. Notwithstanding anything contained in the Indian Penal Code, a registered medical practitioner shall not be guilty of any offence under that code or under any other law for the time being in force if any pregnancy is terminated by him in accordance with the provision of this act. Okay, कोई भी मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर को गिल्टी नहीं दिया जाएगा, गिल्टी नहीं माना जाएगा अगर he has done any abortion work or termination of pregnancy. Condition apply is number one, subject to the provision of subsection 4, a pregnancy may be terminated by a registered medical practitioner. Okay, what are the condition in which a registered medical practitioner can terminate a pregnancy? Okay, where the length of pregnancy does not exceed 12 weeks if such medical practitioner is or where the length of pregnancy exceeds 12 weeks but does not exceed 20 weeks if not less than 2 registered medical practitioners are of same opinion, formed a good faith that the continuation of the pregnancy would involve a risk to the life to the pregnant woman or of grave injury to her physical and mental health। तो किस कंडीशन में कर सकते हैं? ओके तो यहाँ पर आपको जो समझनी चीज है, जो जाननी है हमें, 12 वीक से ज्यादा अगर प्रेगनेंसी हो गई है और इट हैज नॉट एक्सीडेड 20 वीक्स, मतलब 12 से 20 के बीच में अगर प्रेगनेंसी है तो यहाँ पे 2 मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर के ओपिनियन की रिक्वायरमेंट है। ठीक है, 2 मेडिकल जो प्रैक्टिशनर हैं वो उनकी अगर एक राय बनती है तभी वो हम कंडीशन उसमें प्रेगनेंसी को टर्मिनेट करेंगे। अगर लेस देन 12 वीक्स है, ठीक है, तो वन मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर कैन गिव हिज ओपिनियन कि उसको हम टर्मिनेट कर सकते प्रेगनेंसी को। कंडीशन अप्लाई, क्या कंडीशन? अगर प्रेग्नेंट वुमन को कोई रिस्क है उसके लाइफ से, अगर प्रेगनेंसी के दौरान उसको कोई रिस्क है कि उसकी लाइफ थ्रेटन्ड हो रही है बिकॉज ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी, इन दैट केस इट इज। और दूसरी कंडीशन, अगर कोई इंजुरी हो सकती है उसको फिजिकली और मेंटल हेल्थ, फिजिकल और मेंटल हेल्थ की कोई किसी तरह की इंजुरी अगर इंड्यूस इस प्रेगनेंसी की वजह से, इन दैट केस ऑल्सो द प्रेगनेंसी कैन बी टर्मिनेटेड। देयर इज ए दूसरा कंडीशन क्या है? देयर इज ए सब्सटैंशियल रिस्क दैट इफ द चाइल्ड वेयर बोर्न इट वुड सफर फ्रॉम सच फिजिकल और मेंटल एबनॉर्मलिटीज एज टू बी सीरियसली हैंडीकैप्ड। और अगर ये जानकारी मिलती है ड्यूरिंग द प्रेगनेंसी कि द चाइल्ड विच इज गोइंग टू बोर्न he or she might have a physical or mental abnormalities, okay, अगर physically और mental होगा और कोई handicap की issue होगी, in that case also the doctors or the medical practitioners can terminate the pregnancy, okay। In determining whether the continuation of pregnancy would involve such risk of injury to the health as in the mention in the subsection 2 जो previous वाला था, account may be taken of pregnant woman's actual or reasonable foreseeable environment, okay। No pregnancy of a woman who has not attained the age of 18 years or who having attained the age of 18 years is lunatic shall be terminated except with the consent in writing of their गार्जियंस। अगर कोई भी प्रेगनेंसी 18 ईयर्स से नीचे हो रही है तो दैट इज इलीगल एंड दैट इज अप्लीकेबल फॉर टर्मिनेशन। और अगर 18 ईयर्स से ज्यादा एज है एंड द गर्ल इज मेंटली सिक, ल्यूनेटिक का मतलब है मेंटली सिक है एंड बाय मिस्टेक या बाय एनी चांस शी इज गॉट प्रेग्नेंट, सो इन दैट केस ऑल्सो टर्मिनेशन ऑफ प्रेगनेंसी इज एडवाइजेबल, ओके। Save as otherwise provided in the clause A, no pregnancy shall be terminated except with the consent of pregnant woman, okay, and the proper consent of pregnant woman is also mandatory to terminate the pregnancy। Second point, no termination of pregnancy shall be made in accordance with the act at any place other than a hospital established or maintained by the government। so कहाँ पर हम कर सकते हैं? हॉस्पिटल में, और जो मेंटेन बाय द गवर्नमेंट होता है, और ए प्लेस फॉर द टाइम बीइंग अप्रूव्ड बाय द पर्पस ऑफ दिस एक्ट बाय द गवर्नमेंट। थर्ड इज द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द सेक्शन 4, द प्रोविजन ऑफ द सेक्शन 4 एंड सो मच ऑफ द प्रोविजन ऑफ द सबसेक्शन 2 of section 3 as relate to the length of the pregnancy and the opinion of not less than 2 registered medical practitioners is required, okay। if one doctor is saying that abortion करना है या termination करनी है and other is saying not to do, then वो vote 1:1 होगा तो वो भी applicable नहीं है. At least 2 medical practitioners should say or should have the same opinion about termination of pregnancy. Shall not apply to the termination of pregnancy by a registered medical practitioner in case where he is of opinion formed in good faith that the termination of such pregnancy is immediately necessary to save the life of the pregnant woman. Okay. Notwithstanding anything contained in the Indian Penal Code, the termination of pregnancy by a person who is not a registered medical practitioner shall be an offence punishable under the code, and the code shall to this extent stand modified. So कोई भी अनरजिस्टर्ड मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर इस काम को करेगा तो वो कोड में वहां पे वो लॉ अकॉर्डिंग टू द एक्ट ही इज नॉट अलाउड टू डू दिस. इफ ही डज he will face consequences or punishment for it. Experience or training. Okay, so who are the persons, what are the experience and trainings required to carry out this? For the purpose of clause D, which is mentioned previously of section 2, a registered medical practitioner shall have one or more of the following experience or training in gynecology and or obstetrics, namely, in case of a medical practitioner who was registered in the state medical, अगर कोई डॉक्टर स्टेट मेडिकल रजिस्टर में रजिस्टर्ड है, immediately before the commencement of the act, experience in the practice of gynecology and obstetrics for a period of not less than 3 years is required. अगर इस लॉ आने से पहले अगर वो किसी स्टेट मेडिकल रजिस्टर में रजिस्टर्ड है तो एटलीस्ट उसकी जो एक्सपीरियंस होनी चाहिए 3 इयर्स की होनी चाहिए. और इन केस द मेडिकल प्रैक्टिशनर हु वाज रजिस्टर्ड इन स्टेट आफ्टर द लॉ, आफ्टर द डेट ऑफ कमेंसमेंट ऑफ द एक्ट, इन दैट केस मिनिमम जो एक्सपीरियंस उसको चाहिए दैट इज 6 मंथ्स. 6 मंथ्स का एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, स्पेशली इन गायनेकोलॉजी एंड ऑब्स्टेट्रिक्स. ओके, unless the following facilities are provided therein, if he had experience at any hospital for a period of not less than 1 year in the practice of the obstetrics and gynecology, or if he has assisted a registered medical practitioner in the performance of 25 days cases, 25 cases अगर उसने हैंडल किए हुए हैं of medical termination pregnancy in a hospital established or maintained or a training institute approved by this purpose by the government, then only he is applicable. Now, what are the places where this termination of pregnancy can be done? Can it be done at all places? No. Approval of places is required. No place shall be approved under clause B of the section 4 unless the government is satisfied that the termination of pregnancy may be done therein under safe and hygienic condition. When government is satisfied that the pregnancy termination of pregnancy is done under safe and hygienic condition, then only it is applicable, otherwise that place is not allowed. Unless the following facilities are provided therein. What are the minimum facilities they required? An operation table, the instruments for performing abdominal or gynecological surgery. Okay, anesthetic equipments जो anesthesia देने के लिए कहते हैं, resuscitation equipments and sterilization equipment, these all are required. Drugs and parenteral fluids for emergency use, so these all should be there in a place, so that in a place for termination of pregnancy. In continuation of approval of place, every application for approval of place shall be in the form A. So the form A is applied for this and shall be addressed to the chief medical officer, CMO बोलते हैं हम इसको. CMO को inform होना चाहिए, जो कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक होता है. On the receipt of the application referred to the sub rule 2, the chief CMO or chief medical officer of the district shall verify or inquiry any information contained in any such application or inspect any such place with a view to satisfy himself that the facilities referred therein, Rule 1, are provided therein, and that termination of pregnancies may be made therein under the safe and hygienic conditions. So एक पहले तो एप्लीकेशन दी जाएगी, तो एप्लीकेशन जब मिल जाएगा तो सीएमओ कैन आइदर वेरीफाई या इंक्वायरी कर सकता है या इंस्पेक्ट भी कर सकता है उस प्लेस को, टू सी दैट ऑल द फैसिलिटीज आर देयर इन प्लेस and where there is a safe and hygienic condition maintained or not. Okay, every owner of the place which is inspected by the chief medical officer of the district shall afford all reasonable facilities for the inspection of that place. So कोई भी owner, कोई भी hospital जो termination of pregnancies के लिए अपनी place के लिए apply करना चाहता है, he should which is shall afford, और जो ओनर है वो shall afford all the reasonable facilities for inspection. Okay, means वो minimum requirement उसको fulfill करनी है तभी उस जगह को अप्रूवल मिलेगी. The chief medical officer of the district may, if he is satisfied after such verification, inquire or inspection as may be considered necessary, that termination of pregnancies may be done under safe and hygienic conditions at the place, recommended the approval of such place to the government. Once the CMO gets satisfied, then he will send the recommendation to government for approval, and when government is got satisfied, then he will give the letter of approval. Okay, the government may, after considering the application and recommendation from the CMO, the district approve such place and issue a certificate of approval in form B. Okay, so what form they will give? Form B approval. Okay, the certificate of the approval issued by the government shall conspicuously displayed at the place to be easily visible to person visiting the place. Okay, so government उस एरिया को इस तरह से वेबसाइट पर डिस्प्ले करेगी so that it can be seen by the visiting persons nearby, so that means public awareness होनी चाहिए कि यहाँ पर इस वर्क को किया जा सकता है. Now next we'll see inspection of the place. A place approved under the Rule 4 may be inspected by CMO of the district as often as may be necessary, with a view to verify whether termination of pregnancies is being done therein under safe and hygienic condition. This is the purpose of its inspection. The provision of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 2 of 1974 relating to the seizure shall so fare as may be applied to seizure made under the sub-rule 2. Now next is cancellation. In what case cancellation or suspension of certificate of approval will be done? If after inspection of any place approved under rule, or the CMO officer, the CMO of the district is satisfied that the facilities specified in Rule 4 are not properly maintained, and the termination of pregnancy at such place cannot be made under safe and hygienic condition. If these two things are not fulfilled, means first one is the maintenance, second one is no safe and hygienic condition. If these two conditions are met, he shall make a report of the fact to the government, giving the detail of the deficiencies of the defects found in the place. On receipt of such reports, the government may, after giving the owner of the place a reasonable opportunity of being heard, either cancel the certificate, in that case it is government is going to cancel the certificate, or suspend the same for such a period as it may think fit. Okay. Custody of forms. Now this is also what type of forms are available. The consent given by a pregnant woman for the termination of her pregnancy, together with the certified opinion recommended under section 3 and section 5 as the case may be, and the intimation of termination of pregnancy shall be placed in an envelope which shall be sealed by the registered medical practitioner or practitioners by whom such termination of pregnancy was performed, and until that envelope is sent to the head of the hospital or owner of the approved place of the chief medical officer or the chief medical officer of the state, it shall be kept in a safe custody. It should be in the safe custody of the concerned registered medical practitioner or practitioners as the case may be. Okay. So whatever the information है, that information has to be kept very secret. Okay. So envelope में रखना है, it should not be displayed. Maintenance of admission register. Now what are the admission registers which come into the picture while taking out the termination of pregnancy? Every head of the hospital and owner of the approved place shall maintain a register in Form 3 for recording therein the admission of women for termination of their pregnancy. Okay, so there is Form 3 and separately it has to be registered. The entries in the admission register shall be made serially, and a fresh serial number shall be started at the commencement of each calendar year, and the serial number of the particular year shall be distinguished from the serial number of the other year by mentioning the year against the serial number. For example, how to register? Serial number of 572 and serial number of 5 in 573 shall be given as 5, that is the fifth, number 5th in 1972 and number 5th in 1973. So that is how it can be distinguished. The admission register shall be a secret document, and the information contained therein as to name and other particulars of the pregnant woman shall not be disclosed by any person. Entries in register maintained in the hospital or approved places. No entry shall be made in case sheet, operation theatre register, follow-up card or any other document or register except admission register maintained at any hospital of approved place, indicating that the name of the pregnant woman and the reference to the pregnant woman shall be made therein in a serial number assigned to such woman. So admission register में ही सिर्फ entry होनी है, apart from that no entry should be done. Destruction of admission register and other papers, save as otherwise directed by the Chief Secretary to the Union Territory Administration or for the in relation to any proceedings pending before him as directed by the district judge or the magistrate of the first class. Every admission register shall be destroyed on expiry date of the period from 5 years from the date of last entry. 5 साल में इसको destroy करना है in that register, and other papers on the expiry of the period of 3 years. वो 3 years में उसको हम destroy कर सकते हैं. कब से? From the date of termination of pregnancy. Okay, so there are some changes proposed in the conditions for termination of pregnancy at different gestation level. Okay, now Medical Termination Pregnancy Act 1971 and medicinal amendment किया गया bill में 2020 में. Okay, and time of conception, you can see here when the pregnancy is up to 12 weeks, requirement for terminating the pregnancy, advice of one doctor was required, and it is same as that of advice of one doctor. Okay, if pregnancy is between 12 to 20 weeks, advice of two doctors is required as per MPT Act 1971. In Amendment Bill, MPT Bill 2020, that advice of two doctor is minimized to advice of one doctor. 20 to 24 weeks, earlier the termination of pregnancy was not allowed, but in the new bill it is said that two doctors of same categories of means with the same opinion, okay, अगर दो डॉक्टर्स की दो सेम ओपिनियन है, then it can be terminated even 20 to 24 weeks of pregnancy. If the pregnancy is more than 24 weeks, according to the NPT Act 1971, it was not allowed, but in the Amendment Bill 2020, Medical Board, in case of substantial fetal abnormalities, Medical Board, if they come to know that there is a substantial fetus abnormality, in that case even more than 24 weeks of pregnancy can be terminated at any time during the pregnancy, okay. किसी भी टाइम पे प्रेगनेंसी के कर सकते थे, then this is one doctor if immediately necessary to save the woman's life. So one doctor recommendation, if any one of the doctors said that pregnancy has to be terminated because the life of the pregnant woman is not safe because of that pregnancy, in that case also it can be terminated. Doctors refers to registered medical practitioner. Doctors are also known as registered medical practitioners with experience training in gynecology and obstetrics. Okay. So the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, the Medical Termination Act form is amended. So there is two terms, 1971, and there is a Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Bill 2020. Okay. So at last we'll see the references. N.K. Jain of Forensic Pharmacy, 7th edition, reprint 2001, textbook of Forensic Pharmacy, C.K. Kokate, and there are some external website also, from their information has been taken. So with this we end the lecture. Okay, thank you so much.